Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from Let's 10 Gamers, and welcome. So today we're going to be doing another whistle-stop tour of the players' bases on our server. Now if you don't know much about our server, we vote for a new season with different ideas of combat or production, or even in this case, we voted for Porous, and it's all about mining with nodes. Players have to protect and defend these nodes on vital resources to control, trade, as well as use these resources themselves. So that's what the Porous season is about. We vote for a new one every month, and this is the second week in, and we're over at the SAS base. Now SAS have some cool little structures. They've got this defensive platform here that is brimming with turrets, so it's got turrets in most directions, and they can use this to defend this pit. They've got a utility grid under there, and they've got this really cool sort of city sky sort of area over here, as well as another production node. Now what I really do like about this base is these out sort of jutted turrets here to perform additional defense to the pit itself, and then they've got this little walkway here that creates some beautiful views through these sort of trellis reinforcement points, and that of course leads into the base here as well. So going up the stairs, we're on to the next deck, and we've got this observation area so viewers can come and watch the carnage that unfolds at the uranium pit when there's a battle. They've got some buildings. There is nothing quite inside them just yet, but the beginning of this structural sort of relic has begun. You see these little screens up above giving various different data boards. So I think one of them has actually been populated with different artwork and whatnot. And then we've got a tower up the center. There's nothing in the tower, it's just at the moment a big radar dish with additional turrets on the top. The radar dish does look pretty damn cool, and production is of course hidden within the grid. There's some little homes as well for various different players, and as we come over into this area, we've got another observation or possibly a production hangar in the future. Look at that view though. That is a view to die for, and many will as they enter into the uranium pit. Coming over here, we've got some more ships docked ready to defend this area or perhaps go out and attack. So a very cool base SAS, and of course they're living right next to the uranium pit, so they've built additional little turrets and defenses to hold this pit and stop attackers from getting in and stealing their supply of uranium. But let's move on. So we're now over at the IRS base. Shay's been hard at work building this sort of mobile base. So it's got the mobile guts inside. It's still not quite finished yet, but it's got some nice sort of landing legs around the side, brimming with turrets along the front. Well, that's how far they are along with that. We've obviously got this little fighter out the side here that's still taking construction, so we'll have to see how these grids evolve and see if that mobile base becomes a threat. Now the next base we've arrived at is ASI. Now ASI have been hard at work sticking to their traditional paint scheme that I think looks absolutely glorious. Look at these little fighter crafts with these cells that come down through the bottom, brimming with weapons. We've got a different variant of a fighter here as well, all having this lovely orange paint scheme that I love. We've got a storage hub over on this side. I'm not too sure if this storage hub is portable. No, it looks like it's locked down, but it is still quite exposed on the top of here. And they've of course got these larger grids as well. I'm sure we've seen a combat variant of these sort of grids before in a previous season, but they certainly look cool and they're very effective for a nimble large grid. We've obviously got a drill ship over this side as well, so this is a really cool little facility filled with printers and everything one may need to survive. Coming up here, they've got a solar array. Since they're down in the valley, they've had to raise it up here to collect as much power. We've not actually got advanced power on this time, so players are struggling to get power. That I think in itself is a fun little challenge. So a quick stop at BMC, one of the solo players' bases. You can see they've got some defensive turrets. They've also took a little bit of damage. Some of the turrets are on fire and damaged, but they've got a little production hub in here, complete with a fish tank. Every base needs a fish tank. We all know of it. Coming back outside, they've got a little hangar and launch area over on this side with production, and then the hangar bay is on top, complete with a fighter tucked inside there, ready to respond to any threats that may arrive. And there's another landing bay down there that's empty at the moment. Let's continue on. So now we've arrived at the ORD base. Now the ORD base has this cool central spire down the middle. They've got a heavy ship over on the side here. So this one has various different docking pads for transporting their ships in and out. That looks super cool. I like the look of that. All with atmospheric thrust. They've got some turrets on the side there to protect them as well. But the central spire has the ORD logo as you rotate around it. Pretty cool little touch there. They've got some solar panels integrated in, and each one of these sort of struts has support for docking of various vessels. So coming around this side, we've got 3 different vessels on show. We've got like a heavy lift sort of fighter here, complete with some weapons. We've got a welder and carrying vehicle here with the magnetic locks and the welder on the front. And they've got a small, nimble little fighter here as well. Now, something that you might have missed is docked to the tower here. It looks like ORD have got some sort of drone. Some sort of drone they could hit and deploy when needed. Perhaps when they deploy these will engage incoming threats automatically and boost their overall firepower. That's certainly something that could be really cool. Now, what's going on up here? So they've got an NPC looking like they're inspecting this ship here. I like it when players go to the extra detail of adding these little bots in. Very, very cool base indeed. Let's continue on. Now, our next stop is Raab, and Raab have been working hard to build these sorts of medium-sized cruisers bristling with weapons, and they just look absolutely beautiful. These two together are going to be a bit of a menace on the battlefield, tucked with missile launchers here at the front. They've got artillery cannons, and what's tucked behind these airlocks down here, more missile launchers as well. They've got the base over here with a protected central hub, but you can see the focus has definitely gone into churning out these two ships and perhaps building some of these smaller fighters as well. Let's have a quick look at them. So these smaller fighters are actually drone craft as well. A lot of players are putting time into trying to build the drone and AI craft to help them defend their outposts from the AI that I spawn in or other players. So you can see some different variants here, complete with some normal fighters here as well. So this is a drone craft complete with a seat on the top, or maybe it's some sort of maintenance craft. Oh, it's a cargo hauler perhaps. Yeah, there we go. So it's got cargo inside, so perhaps this is the craft that visits the various nodes that Raab have to collect the cargo. Very, very cool indeed. But let's continue on. So our next stop is ANA. ANA is another solo faction, and they've been hard at work building this medium sort of ship that can pack some firepower. So you can see up here it's got an artillery turret, we have got some deck cannons as well. It's quite a nice grid. There's a lot been built here for a solo player. The base itself needs a bit of further construction. You can see it's either taken some damage or it's still under construction. It looks like it's possibly still under construction. I'm sure this base will be really nicely detailed when it comes to tuition. Some nice interior turrets there as well, tucked in the roof, complete with the ANA logos throughout. But let's continue on. So we're now over at the BEMC base, and it looks oddly familiar. Maybe you recognize it. Let us know in the comment section below. As you can see in the wreck of whatever this crash ship is, it feels like a crash ship. But as we go inside, there is various rovers. We've got some cargo rovers over on this side. We've got ourselves a combat rover here, still under construction on that side, and a small welding grid up here. So this larger grid, if it's going to be a base, I don't know if it's just designed though to look like a crash ship that's been utilized, but still a very cool and very unique base for a solo player. Now the next base we've arrived at is another solo. This is DRC, or Endorsement. Endorsement's been working quite hard to build this sort of semi-camouflage base. I mean, it seems a bit odd camouflaging your base in purple and orange, but it actually kind of matches the local flora from a distance. Now this base has still got a lot to come. You can see there's this 3D printing device that's going on here. I'm not too sure if this is going to be some sort of rover or it's part of the 3D printing design. Well, it looks like there's some big plans for this outpost. Now coming down under here, we've got some fighters that have been tucked away in this really quite lavish colour scheme once again, blending in with the local flora. And we've got another one tucked inside there. Now under this base we've also got some welding ships, and we've got the bulk of the construction. And of course, if you've got a utility area, you're going to need to tuck some barrels inside there as well. So quite a cool little base this, especially for a solo player. Lots of turrets in defense, and that protective sort of roof over the production area will provide quite good protection. Now our next stop takes us to the NBS base, and NBS is always a nice combination of functionality and looks. NBS are rocking these two small defensive ships once again, brimming with turrets around the side, atmospheric and hydrogen combination, so these could be quite nimble when it comes to maneuvering on enemy ships. They've got a dockyard to the rear. They've got a little utility ship that's docked down here, and they've got this really cool base structure. And what's really nice about it is they've decided to enclose a tree within this central dome. There's no reason, there's no benefit to this, but it certainly looks good, and I appreciate the effort they've gone into to create something like that. Coming over this side, we've got ourselves the hangarway, and they've got these little walkways that connect up these areas as well. We've got fighters racked in this area, and we have a supply truck docked over here as well. So a little supply truck with some extra turrets. Very, very cool indeed. I like the structure of these hangars. Now coming up onto this hill, we have ourselves a defensive turret as well. So this is a railgun artillery combo, and this is really quite deadly. So this base is well defended and certainly looks good to boot. Now last on our list is Zap Space, and Zap are usually well known for their bright yellow and black colour scheme that we can see here on their ship. But they've actually gone with this much darker tone, and they've installed this railgun turret in the most professional manner that I have ever seen on top of here. When this fires, it's going to be absolute mayhem. But they've got quite a nice defensive structure taking shape, and Zap usually operate by themselves, and because of that, it's going to take them a little longer to get a base together. But the outer walls are taking a good bit of shape. We've got the turrets that are bristling on the walls. This is a really cool base. We'll have to see how it comes along. What's this? So this is a cargo transport, I'm guessing. Some sort of cargo transport. We've got batteries, yeah, we've got containers. We've seen a lot of these mini cargo transports around as people are visiting nodes and collecting their resources and bringing it back to base to build. So let us know in the comment section which of these bases you liked the most. And if you can hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, it'd be much appreciated. And I will see you in the next video.